previous model, we learned how we could make some animation, do some camera setup, do some scene setup, okay? Um, this model, we're going to be learning how to do some editing. I'm going to show you guys how to set up different scenes and edit them and export them from Moho, okay? So let's say, for example, that we have a storyline, and this is the character in our storyline. So in one of the scene, our character played football like this, and then in another scene the character performed another action, and you want to combine all this scene into one video. Okay, the most typical thing to do, I'm going to open up my Adobe Premiere Pro. The most typical thing that um, people do is to export each of the scenes, like this scene where the young man kicked this ball. We're going to export it into a video. Then if there was another scene, let's try and open up another scene. And then we have another scene where he's kicking, um, where he's juggling the football. And then we want to add all these scenes together, okay? In this scene, I'm going to add a background. So let me come over to let me just add a regular background. So I'm going to come here. Let's say we're working with this background. So what we could do is to export this animation that he juggled the ball, export it to a video, then export this one to another video. I've shown you guys how to export to a video. Then I'll come into my Premiere Pro. I'll come into Premiere Pro and start merging those videos. Okay, so that's the typical thing you would do if you were animating. However, I'm not sure if each and every one of you could get your hands um, get a copy of the Premiere Pro. If you can get a copy of the Premiere Pro, that's perfect, and then you learn how to do it. But for the scope of this training, and for the fact that what we are discussing now is just beginners level animation and production, okay? So I don't want to bug you guys with so many, teaching you how to use so many applications. So we want to concentrate on how we can do it all inside Moho, okay? How we can switch between one scene to another inside Moho, right? So that's what we're going to do, guys. So to do that, so we already have this scene where our character is kicking the ball. So I'm going to highlight all this, everything here, and group it. I'm going to call this my SC1. So this is my first scene. Okay. That means I can turn this off and on, off and on. All right. So for the second scene, I'm just going to import this. So I'm going to save it. I can import it into this my second project because I want all of them to be inside one program so I can switch them. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to File, come to Imports, General Imports. Then I'm going to check out for where I saved my where I've saved my character. I'm going to double click it. So it's going to ask me which part of the and project do I want to import. So I want to import the ball, the character, and the background. When I click OK, guys, you can see that everything is now imported. So I'm going to highlight the ones I just imported. Then I'm going to make group with selection. And I'm going to call this my scene 2. Scene 2. So let's scale this up so that it can fit. Alright guys, so what we want to do is we want to switch between two scenes. So we want the character to first kick the ball. This is distracting, so I'm going to just scale it down. So this is our first scene. The character comes and kicks the ball. Okay, and then the second scene is where the character is juggling the ball, jumps up and juggles the ball. Okay, so I want this to play first, so I'm going to call this scene 1. Sorry, I'm going to change this, and I'm going to call this scene 2. Just making a change because I want him to juggle the ball before kicking. So I want after the juggling for the um, kicking to come after. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my scene 2, then I'm going to use my transform layer and I'm going to drag it out. Okay, so what I want is after the jogging, the next thing is the kicking of the ball. So if I should render these guys, you see we can only view one scene. Okay, so now here's what we're going to do. We're going to use our camera to switch between these two scenes. So I'm going to come here. So somewhere here where the where our character we're okay with the juggling, we're going to click our transform our track camera tool, and then we're going to click once to add a keyframe. So we added a keyframe. So that means between here and here there is no camera movement. Then immediately we jump to the next frame. We're going to drag this down out into our scene. Okay, so what happens is the character plays the ball, jumps around, and then next we have where the character kicked the ball. Okay, so now at this point where the character we jump to this scene, that's where we want this animation to start. Okay, so for this, while we have this scene 2 selected, we're going to come to animation and click set layer start time, so that the animation will start. All the animation within this layer, all the animation within this layer is going to start at this point. Okay, so what we have now is we have the character. You can see nothing is happening here because we have not started this animation. So next we switch to the second scene. The character comes to kick the ball, and then if we have more scene, we could keep adding them. At any point we want, we can switch camera. Okay, so guys, that's how you can switch from one scene to another in Moho. You don't have to export individual animation as a video, then go and start looking for a third-party application that you can use to compile them. Okay, so you can do your switching inside Moho. So the next scene, you can add them here: scene 3, scene 4, scene 5, up to scene 10, and then have them have the previous scene playback, and then use your camera to jump to the next scene, and then this after this plays, you can also jump to the third scene. So that when we're done, guys, we can now let me render this. So I'm going to save this, and I'm going to export it. I'm going to hit Ctrl B on my keyboard. Right now it's just the kick that I want to export, so we're going to remove this. Always make sure you save your project first before it can be imported into the Moho exporter. So I'm going to just hit my play to export. Alright guys, so our export is done. Let's check it out. So we're going to come here. So you can see, guys, we have the um, first scene, and then we quickly switch to the second scene. So that's perfect there, guys. That's how you can switch between scenes and do your final editing in Moho. Okay, so that's it, guys. Next video we're going to get into our bonus sections.